Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, let's get original crew, man. We're back. Have an old throwback. Mr. Ballin', she hid. But the demon found her. How you feel about that?
I don't know how to feel right now. She hid, but the demon found her.
Now, we talking about...
Just a person, maybe, that's,
Or are we talking about...
considered
Or
because
are we
of
talking
what
about
they probably did.
the Long Island hunting? So, with that being said, before we get into it today, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want the first part. All you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
Lock it in with a thumbs up.
But let's go, man. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
There is one absolutely horrifying part of today's story. It's the part where Angela is under the bed. And believe me, when you get to that part in the story, you'll know what I'm talking about. But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. And so if that's of interest to you, then the next time the like button asks you to go get them a regular iced coffee, I want you to go to Starbucks and order a regular iced coffee, but with light ice. Then hand that sucker over to the fool that is the like button. Also, please subscribe.
You will
What
love
drink he say get? Just
iced coffee. To get a regular iced coffee with light ice.
Light ice.
Hey, a lot of people would love that. Get more coffee. Well, unless you know what I'm saying.
I guess it'll be
I don't know.
more. Not as cold.
Still be cold because it got ice in there. You just
Not as much.
You know, here y'all go see. I ain't got a cup.
You got this?
No.
It's
You know what I'm talking
in it.
about.
The noise.
That's how y'all do it. Then when y'all sip your like drink it. I gotta save it. They ain't got me no ice.
I get light ice anyway in my drink.
Unless you go to Dutch. Dutch
Yeah.
you don't get
I don't do it
Dutch Bros is better.
My channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's story. January 23rd, 2000.
Hold on, because the music loud and then he talking.
On January
23rd, I heard that.
2000. Didn't hear the.
But I'm just saying balling. Good thing this is old. Cause that don't like you gotta fade it in.
It's actually a day that is remembered by the people of New York as Black Sunday. Curtis Myron, who was a New York City firefighter, was trapped on the 4th floor of an apartment in the Bronx. Blazing inferno. He, along with 5 other firefighters, are trapped on the top floor. There was no way out, and they elected to jump from the 4th floor. And unfortunately, Curtis, along with another firefighter, did not survive the fall. In addition to those 2 lives that were lost, another fire had broken out separately in New York the same day that claimed the life of a 3rd firefighter. This was the largest loss of life for the New York City Fire Department since the September 11th attacks. Curtis's wife, Jeanette, and their 2 daughters, Angela, who was a young teenager, and Deneen, who was a little bit younger than Angela, they were inconsolable. They never thought that their father, their husband, would not come home again. But they were faced with this horrible new reality where Dad wasn't coming home. The Black Sunday tragedy, the loss of those 3 firefighters, had become very high profile. And so news channels and media outlets were showing up at Jeanette's property, hoping to get an interview with she or her kids about what had happened. And they were just not interested in that. And so they felt very trapped inside of the house. And the house itself had been built by Curtis. He had literally built the house. And so It was just a constant reminder of the sadness of this loss. And at some point, Jeanette just said to the girls, I think we should move. I think we just need a fresh start. This is too much. It's too much to be here. Let's just move. And the girls were very eager to leave. So Jeanette starts doing some house hunting, and quickly she finds this nice little house on Long Island where they live, but farther away from the city. And it was sitting on an acre of land, which for the price that was being asked for it, it was unheard of. They went to the property and Jeanette could see that the house needed a ton of work. But all of Kurt's firefighter buddies were very eager to support Jeanette and her kids, and they offered to come by and actually help them do the renovations on the house. And so Jeanette bought the house, and very quickly she and her 2 daughters moved in, and all of Kurt's firefighter buddies showed up and began this massive house renovation. I mean, they were basically tearing it down to the studs and rebuilding the whole house. Because of this massive renovation project, a lot of the doors and windows were not secured. And so at night, Jeanette felt really uncomfortable. So she went out and purchased 7 cameras to fit on the outside of the house to monitor the property. And all of the cameras streamed to her laptop where she could watch them at any time. And so she found herself watching these cameras a lot on her laptop, just kind of reflexively watching what was happening around her property. And so one night, Jeanette's at her house, her kids are upstairs, and she's got her laptop open and she's watching these feeds from the 7 different cameras. And she admitted that it was just kind of fun to watch the cameras. It felt, kind of cool to see what was going on outside, but from the safety of your home.
You think 7 too many?
Mm-mm.
I know we got one right here, possum one. So
I'm thinking 1, 2, 3,
no, you got
4.
at the corner. The
1,
corners, that's 4.
1,
If you have one in the corner.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, I'm saying you got one at the corners.
Maybe I'm counting the corners. What you think I'm counting?
So where you getting your 5, 6 from?
I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4.
6.
That's 4. Corners are 4.
4, and then I said just put 1, like maybe the door.
If
And
you
maybe
got,
I know, but the ones on the side could be going at an angle. That's what I was thinking. It's 7.
Oh,
I'm trying
well,
to
then,
fit 7 on a
I'm
house.
also thinking about the time, so you need like the cameras ain't as
You know
high.
what I'm saying?
I'm thinking about.
I'm trying to get different angles.
I forgot about the time. Yeah, that's right.
She was watching one particular feed that was showing the edge of her property where there was this big forest that basically butted up against their property, where there was a swing set in their driveway, and she was looking out at this big open front yard of theirs. And from the tree line, she watched a figure emerge it looked like a man in a cloak, walk up to their driveway and walk a little ways down the driveway before stopping and staring up at the house. Jeanette was so caught off guard by what she was seeing that she didn't do anything. She just stood there watching this figure. And as soon as the figure had gotten there and was watching the house, it turned back around and walked back into the woods and vanished. It was late. Jeanette didn't know what she'd even seen. The cameras were not super HD, so she thought it must have been an animal or it was just an anomaly of the camera itself. So at the same time that Jeanette is looking at her laptop and she's trying to make sense of this figure she's seen, upstairs, the 2 girls are in their own bedrooms, which are on other ends of the hallway. Angela was laying on her bed with her back up against the wall and she's reading a book, and she starts hearing tapping along the same wall that her back is against, and she can almost feel it in her back. She puts her book down and sits forward and turns and is listening really intently to where the tapping had been coming from. And then she hears bang, 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 like someone's trying to get her attention. She gets right out of her bed and goes to her door. She opens it up and looks downstairs, because from where her door opened, she could look into the living room on the 1st floor. And immediately she saw her mom on her laptop. Her mom was not banging on anything. And her sister was in her room and she was down the hall. And so that couldn't have been her sister. So she goes back in her room and she's thinking to herself, I'm hearing things. She puts her ear right up against the wall, and as soon as her ear makes contact with the wall, she said it sounded like someone smashed the wall right on the other side of her ear. It causes her to freak out, and she goes right into her bed and throws the covers over her head and she hides. What Angela didn't know is that down the hall, her younger sister, Deneen, had heard tapping as well, but her tapping sounds were not coming from the wall, they were coming from the door. And she thought her mom had come upstairs to see what she was doing, so she got up, walked to the door, opened it up, and there was nothing. She did the same thing that Angela did and poked her head down and saw her mom sitting on the couch. She looked down the hall and she saw that Angela's door was closed. It wasn't Angela. So she shuts the door, and as soon as it shuts, She hears 3 distinct taps on the door. She opens it up again, there's no one there. She too runs into her bed and jumps under the covers. The girls would say in interviews that the tapping sounds continued periodically throughout most of the night, but at some point they both managed to fall asleep under the covers.
Because I'm also thinking they got the house for a steal, basically. Steal of a deal. Also, it's a lot of land. Sits on an acre, not common for New York, right? In that real estate market. So they're like, hey, we gotta go to, even though it needs renovation. So it's an older home, right? It's an older home.
Mm-hmm.
Still of a deal. Did we get any backstory of why the house is on the market for so long?
Good question.
Was there a complaint? Like, how long has it been on the market? 1. 2. Who are the previous? Because I say this, I got to meet the previous owners. You know what I'm saying? I got to see how they are, see how their demeanor are. If you buy a house, will you want to meet the previous owner just to see how are you? You know, I don't want to just F these real estate people. Let me, because I'm buying your house.
Yeah.
I got to see how you are. Then I know what I'm working with, too.
Or would you just like a backstory?
Because if they... Also, how long have they been staying there? Because the previous owners. Because if they bought it and trying to hurry up and get out,
something's going on.
Something sketchy with that. Whether it's something issues with the home.
Baby, I got one time to feel uneasy in my own house, baby. I'm moving back.
But she just bought it.
I know.
So it's hard to get out of a house.
I know.
When you first buy it.
I know. I'm being dramatic, but yes, I know.
And then not even just that. So. Has anyone ever died in the house?
Those are good questions.
All of those, you gotta counter. You know what I'm saying? Don't just hop on the opportunity because the previous home you have all these memories.
Yeah.
You want to have all those memories. You don't want to just cut those memories away.
Yeah.
Throughout most of the night, but at some point they both managed to fall asleep under the covers. The next morning, the girls go downstairs and they're in the kitchen and they tell each other what they had heard the night before. And they both start feeding off of each other because they both had this experience and didn't realize it. Angela would say to Deneen, yeah, I heard these tapping sounds. Deneen is picking up on her fear and she's saying, I heard tapping sounds. And the kids are really wound up. And that's when Jeanette comes into the kitchen and she sees her kids talking about something that seems really intense. And she goes, what's going on? What are you talking about? And they said, Mom, we think something's wrong with the house. We heard tapping sounds last night. This happened to me. This happened to me. And Jeanette just says, guys, it's a brand new house. We aren't used to the sounds the house makes. I'm sure it's just pipes or creaking floorboards or something. You guys are overthinking it. Don't worry about a thing. The house is fine. Over the following few days, some of the firemen that were helping renovate the house began to work on the basement. The basement was full of clutter. It was like whoever had lived there before had never taken anything out. Very old pieces of machinery and furniture and strange boxes and papers. And the first step to fixing the basement was just going to be emptying it. And so the firemen were removing things from the basement when one of them, his name was Tom, he was one of Kurt's very good friends, Tom discovered that on the ground underneath all the clutter was this large pentagram, which is a 5-pointed star inside of a circle that is almost always associated with satanic worship. Tom gets Jeanette to come downstairs. And
See, that's another thing.
That stuff I
See, that's another thing. I'm moving into something. Did we even look through the fucking house?
We just hopped on it.
We just hopped on it because the price looked good. I would have been like, they ain't coming to take all this?
Because I'm not,
Because then I got to get it up out of here.
Yeah.
And then we would have, oh no, they said they're going to leave it. You can have it. No, they can have the house. I don't want it. Then, oh yeah, they'll move it out. All right, we're going to do a thorough walkthrough. Hey, you got to pay attention to all this. I'm telling you, you got to pay attention. We got to scan the floor. I'm telling you, scan the floor. Because if you do just a normal walkthrough in the basement, you probably ain't going to notice this. Yeah. But if you scan the floor.
Would you do it?
You know what I'm saying? Scared at me. You know what I'm saying? Where my... Scan at me. Scan at me.
That is so bright.
You got to scan at me. You know what I'm saying? Scan it. Oh, okay. What? Hold on. What's this? Oh, no. See, I don't play no devil worship. I'm just saying, man.
No, for real though.
Butter was this large pentagram, which is a 5-pointed star inside of a circle that is almost always associated with satanic worship. Tom gets Jeanette to come downstairs and he shows her what's on the ground. And he says, what do you want me to do about this? And Jeanette said, paint over it. I don't want my kids to see this. But what Jeanette didn't know is that the kids had actually been playing outside over the past couple of days out in that forest in their property. And they had found a number of pentagrams carved into trees, into rocks, carved into the dirt on the ground. They were everywhere.
See?
They decided not to tell their mom because they didn't want their mom to worry. So they're both siloing information about these pentagrams all over their property. A couple of days later, Angela was going to be home alone for a few hours. And Jeanette had given Angela some chores, which included cleaning out the refrigerator. And so Angela's in the kitchen and she's got the fridge open and she's taking things out and cleaning off each of the different drawers. And she can't help but feel like someone is standing behind her. She kept turning around and no one was standing in the kitchen, but she just could not shake this feeling that someone was behind her. And so she's looking at the fridge at one point and she's about to just give up on cleaning the fridge and explain to her mom that she would just do it later, when all of a sudden she hears behind her this loud like explosion. She hears pots and pans and knives and forks clattering all over the ground. And she instantly turns around and every cabinet, every drawer has come flying open and all of their contents have come smashing onto the floor. She sprints up to her bedroom screaming and hides in the corner. Shortly thereafter, Jeanette comes home. She goes inside and she sees the kitchen is an absolute mess. It looks like someone had broken in. And she starts screaming for Angela, thinking the worst. Someone's broken in. What happened to my daughter? She's running upstairs, screaming for Angela. She finds Angela curled up in the corner of her bedroom. What's going on? What happened in the kitchen? And Angela just could not put an answer together. She was so shocked by what happened. So Jeanette tells her to stay here. She runs around the house, making sure that no one's there. She gets her laptop, goes back to Angela, opens it up, and she checks the footage. No one's in their house. No one's been near their house. All the while, Angela's just sobbing hysterically. And finally, after Jeanette is convinced that there has not been a home invasion, she turns to Angela and she's like, what is going on? Why does the kitchen look like this? And Angela tried to explain what happened, but it just didn't make any sense. And so Jeanette was getting frustrated with Angela and saying, did you do that down in the kitchen? But when Angela didn't change her story and just looked terrified, Jeanette started to see that Angela wasn't lying. This incident really rattled Angela, and Jeanette would comment in different interviews that it was at this point that Angela began to withdraw quite a bit. She was really upset about what had happened in the kitchen, but there wasn't really a good way to handle it, and so Jeanette didn't know what to say to her daughter. Angela didn't know how to talk about it, and so it was just this awful cloud in their life that they had this really intense thing happen, but there's just no explanation for it. A couple of days after the kitchen incident, and the crew that had been clearing out the basement got to the point where they were ready to actually start tearing down drywall. And so as they start demoing the walls, they find hidden in the walls a journal. And it's this very old looking journal with some lace wrapped around it. And one of the firemen gives it to Jeanette and just says, hey, I thought you might want to look at this. I don't know what to make of it, but it was in your wall. Jeanette opened it up and she began flipping through it, and she saw a date that was 1927. And she knew that was actually the date that this house was actually built. It seemed like this was a journal written by someone named Christina, who seemed fairly young. And as she's flipping through this journal, it really starts to take a dark turn when she sees diagrams of these ritualistic sacrifices of animals and of people that apparently were taking place in this house, because the diagram clearly indicated that it was happening in the basement. And even weirder is there was this room that they didn't know what it was for in the basement that was underneath the stairs, that it wasn't really a closet. It was all cement on all four sides. It was like someone had put a pocket of cement underneath the stairs, and they always wondered what it was. And some of the diagrams indicated that some of the sacrificing was going on underneath the stairs in that room. Jeanette decides to keep the journal from her kids. She does not want them to know that it's...
F that, it's time to go.
1927, baby. That's all you have to tell me.
I don't even like old homes like that.
I know some people do, but baby, that's a little old for me.
See, you don't even like home built in 2010.
Yeah.
I like it, the newer the better.
It be a lot going on.
If it's over 5 years, it's old, baby. It's an old house.
People be doing stuff, things be happening, and they ain't got time.
Man, I'm telling you, hey, Go on. Hey, if you ain't bought a house before you buy, you better Google that address.
I want to know
every
everything,
every
article,
database,
every piece of information.
So if you got a partner on
the house that the neighborhood you took me through, I would have never known. The one where
that dude killed all the whole family.
The whole family. I would have never. Somebody stays in the house now,
and they've been staying there since it's sold.
Like and it's sold for a nice price.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that big of a discount. It wasn't that big of a discount.
It wasn't that big of a discount, but
what was it like? 4 or 5 people killed. It was a murder suicide. He killed everybody in the mom, dad, it was
everyone.
Domestic.
And we ride through the neighborhood. I would have never known. Like if you didn't know, you would know.
Yeah, or even the one that's newer. Where he kills her and put her in the
garbage can.
In the garbage can in the garage.
Like you wouldn't know.
And that's a that's a nice neighborhood.
That's the neighborhood you want to be in.
Kinda.
Well, the backside of it, but
it's on that side.
That's the neighborhood you want to be in. But you would have never.
It's an option.
You would have never known. Like, and that's the things I be talking about.
Yeah.
Like. And they're not. I don't think they're gonna like. Hey, you just a heads up. You know someone? No.
Ooh, or even that one that dude. I don't want to be over there, but the one that dude had when he had killed his wife, but he came back and killed his kids inside the home.
That was crazy. It's too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you got to be aware of if you got a partner on the police department, say, hey, I got an address. I just want to see if you can run. See what any calls they even came, even the domestic disputes.
Dating all the way back to the day was
because I don't need nobody coming back after they get out of jail and say, "Sir, this used to be my house. Was she? I don't know, fool. Man, being fair, but I don't know, fool. Like,
but no, seriously though.
On some serious note, though, yeah.
In that room, Jeanette decides to keep the journal from her kids. She does not want them to know that this was found in the walls. A couple of days later, Angela is in her bedroom listening to music on her headphones, and at some point she thinks she hears someone call her name. She takes her headphones out, she goes to the door, opens up, looks down and says, "Hey Mom, did you call me?" And her mom's like, "No." She looks down the hall and she can hear that her sister is showering in the bathroom at the end of the hall, so it wasn't her. And so, Angela, she has a healthy fear of this house because of really the kitchen incident more than anything else. But she's thinking, okay, I must have heard something, not a big deal. So she goes back into her room and she sits down in her bed. But before putting her headphones back in, she hears someone say, "Get Deneen." And it's coming from in the walls. Immediately, she's terrified. Down the hall, she hears Deneen, who's in the shower, screaming bloody murder. Angela starts running to the bathroom to see what's going on with Deneen, right as Jeanette is flying up the stairs to go see what's going on with Deneen. They open up the door, and Deneen is huddled on the ground, screaming about some person in the bathroom with her. And she kept turning around, and no one was there. Jeanette would say when she saw her daughter, she looked so scared, she thought she was having a seizure. And Jeanette immediately grabs a towel, scoops up her daughter. She grabs Angela and they leave the bathroom. They go running into Jeanette's room and they get into Jeanette's bed and they're all huddled there. And Jeanette's trying to ask Deneen what she saw. And so Deneen finally says that she was in the shower and she heard someone saying her name. And it sounded like a male voice. And she's just looking through the frosted glass. And all of a sudden, she sees a big hand land on the outside of the shower door. Jeanette felt so helpless. She had lost her husband. Her kids have lost their father. And there's all these strange things happening in the house. And Jeanette just felt like she couldn't protect them. It was around this time that Jeanette really felt like she should leave the house. But financially, they were really invested into this house. So it would have been very difficult to leave just financially. And then also, the amount of time and energy all the firefighters, all of Kurt's friends had put into renovating the house and, gutting it and fixing it up. It was so much time and energy that she...
That's another reason why I don't understand why we even took the house. And why we moved in it so fast. You having to do that much work to the house?
Yeah.
That much renovation? I'm not living in the house. Because you never know, like what you breathing in, inhaling and all that. It's just too much going on.
Even like any little problems or big problems you could have ran into. Big problems.
You having to redo the walls, you take out, it's a lot going on with this house.
and gutting it and fixing it up. It was so much time and energy that she felt like she would be letting them down if she left. And she couldn't possibly tell them that the reason that she was leaving is because the house is haunted. And so she just felt trapped. A couple of days go by and everybody is just on edge in the house. Angela, Deneen, Jeanette, they don't like being there. And Angela just felt really cooped up when she was home, and she was just scared of being in the house. And so one night she decides to go outside and just swing on their swing, which was on their front property. Jeanette is inside the house doing dishes where there's a window that looks out the front of the house where you can see this swing set. When she finishes doing the dishes, she takes her eye off of Angela for a moment and she walks into the other room to sit down on the couch. She grabs her laptop, she opens it up and figures she can keep an eye on Angela using the security camera that was pointing in that direction. So she opens up the program and she pulls up all the camera feeds, and she's shocked when on the camera feed with Angela, she sees the same cloaked figure she had seen the first time she'd been looking at the live feeds, standing right behind Angela. And immediately she's up and sprinting outside, screaming for Angela. As soon as she gets outside, she hears Angela screaming for her mother before she's even seen her mother. And when she turns the corner, she sees Angela screaming in pain on the ground in front of the swing, and there's no cloaked figure anywhere. She runs over and she can see that Angela's ankle has been badly broken or dislocated. And so she scoops her up and she said, "What happened?" And Angela said that somebody pushed me. Someone pushed me off the swing. And they go to the hospital, and sure enough, she had dislocated and broken her ankle.
Wow.
When they got home that night, Jeanette opened up the laptop and reviewed the footage from outside. And she saw this figure walk out of the woods, and the swing was right up against the woods. And it goes right behind Angela and appears to push Angela and then goes back into the woods. Jeanette called the police. She showed them the footage, and they feel really bad, and they can clearly see what happened. But there's no way to identify the figure that came out of the tree line. They just told them to be careful, don't go in your woods, and if you see this figure again in any of your camera feeds, call us right away and we'll come right over and we'll do what we can. So at this point, Jeanette is terrified. She can't protect her kids, and she doesn't leave them really at any point. She's 24/7 in the same room with her kids. They're sleeping in the same room, and the only...
At this point, you know what it is. Police ain't gonna save you.
Yeah.
Calling 911 is pointless. Obviously, somebody don't want you there at their house on their property. Ain't no telling if that journal was any indications of anything. Looks as though a lot of things have died on this property.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be animals, people, children.
People.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, but I don't. That's crazy.
Time she would leave them is during the day for very brief stints. And on one day, a couple of days after the swing incident, Jeanette needed to go to the pharmacy. And so Angela's going to be alone for about an hour and a half. And so her mom leaves, and Angela is in her bedroom, and she's sitting on her bed, and she's listening to music. At some point, she thinks she hears banging coming from somewhere in her room. Now, at this point, Angela's been pretty shaken up after living here. She had the incident in the kitchen where everything flew out of the drawers and cupboards. She's been hearing tapping and banging sounds. She has her sister's story about the hand on the glass in the shower. She just got pushed off a swing by some cloaked figure. I mean, she's scared of this place. And so every sound is going to terrify her. And when she started hearing that tapping sound, she took out her headphones. She looks over at her closet and she can see that the doors are rattling.
Oh, God.
She is so immediately scared that she gets off of the bed and goes underneath and tucks up against the side of the wall. She could actually see the bottom of the closet, and she can see it's still rattling, and she's tucked up against the wall. And as she's looking, the doors slowly slide open, and she sees a figure walk out of her closet that must have been standing there the whole time that she had been laying on her bed. She said this horrible smell filled the room, and she said that it looked like it had human feet, bare feet, but it was a totally dark figure. It was hard to really pick out if it looked human or not. But it began walking around her room, and she believed it was looking for her. And she heard its footsteps as it walked all over her room. And at some point, it walks into the hall out of her bedroom. And she's just laying there under her bed, hoping that it doesn't come back. And then when she thinks it's walked all the way downstairs, it goes quiet. And then she hears it running up the stairs, running into her bedroom, runs right in front of the bed. Its feet are aimed right at her. It climbs onto her bed. She can hear the springs condensing right above her. and she's looking out wide-eyed, holding her mouth, and all of a sudden its head appears looking down directly at her, and it's this dark face, sunken eyes. It looks like its skin is rotting off of its head, and it's just staring at her upside down, looking directly at her. At this point, she screams, and the figure goes back up onto the bed, and now it's sitting right above her. She's screaming uncontrollably, and then she hears it get off the bed, but she doesn't know where it went in the room. And so for the next 45 minutes, she lays there expecting this thing to come back. It knows where she is. It knows she's under the bed. And she can hear it occasionally running around the house. She can just smell this horrible smell. And at some point, she hears her mom's car outside, and she starts screaming for her mother. Her mother must have heard her because she comes bombing into the house. She runs up the stairs. She's screaming for Angela. Angela's screaming for her mom. And then she finally finds Angela under the bed. She pulls her out and she holds her, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And Angela's saying that he's in the house. He's in the house. He's in the house. I don't know what it is. He came out of my closet. Jeanette runs all through the house looking for anything or anyone in the house. There's nothing. It's gone. At this point, Jeanette is at her wit's end. She doesn't know what to do. So she takes Angela. She gets in the car. They drive to where Deneen is. Deneen was with a friend at the time. They get Deneen. So the three of them are together now, and they drive to Jeanette's parents' house. And while they're there, Jeanette calls a paranormal investigator, and she says, I need your help. I need help to get rid of what's going on in my house. And so she gets in touch with this woman named Liz, who offers to do a cleansing of the house. And after the cleansing was done, Jeanette would say that it appeared that everything stopped in the house. And somewhat unbelievably, Jeanette and Angela and Deneen decided to stay in the house where this demon was. That they felt confident that the cleansing had gotten rid of it. And to this day, they still live there. If it was me, I would have been out of that house and never gone back. So I'd love to get your reaction to this story. Do you think there was some paranormal entity that was haunting them in the house? Or do you think this is just a product of extreme grief and anxiety as a result of the death of their husband and father? Or
That's so dumb. I'm done with so many people being so damn stupid. Leave. All this shit getting killed. And you think one cleansing, one little ritual, out of all these pendulums, whatever, pentagrams all over the place, inviting whatever spirits, you think one, get out, gonna get them out?
Well, she said it helped. One.
No.
That's what she said.
Hell.
And they still there. They said she did interviews and stuff talking about it.
Yeah, that's why. Let me see.
What's her name? Jeanette.
Jeanette. And let me see.
No. No, we have to try to find it.
Yeah, I had to try to really like look.
Yeah.
Oh no, man.
That's
Do you
crazy.
believe that?
I don't know.
After one, you think after one, it's just gonna go away and disappear?
Maybe.
Come on, see.
If those encounters did happen, and if the story is real, and they still stay in the house, or they stayed in the house afterwards, then I mean, I guess so. Unless it was just all in their minds. But I guess with the kitchen situation happening.
Also,
and with her seeing figures, and her ankle being broke,
and she actually also showing the video footage to the police, and the police
and they actually,
confirmed.
you know what I'm saying? So something is around the property.
Or did it just at this point just stop bothering y'all?
No. What's the coincidence? After the cleansing, it stopped. So all I have is that the cleansing worked.
I don't know. I think the mother should have moved.
But financially, she just didn't. She wasn't unable. I mean,
so y'all, my thing is, so don't you have? Never mind. But so they had already sold. I guess previously sold their home so they had nowhere to go. I would move back in with mama and daddy.
Yeah.
I would move back in with mama and daddy
For a little while.
Sold that. Said, hey, give me whatever you want to. It's a renovation.
True.
Hey, after my kid's life is more.
But I wouldn't want nobody. I mean, I know you want the.
Somebody gave it to you like that.
I know, which is so messed up. So messed
and I would have
up.
went to that real estate agent that sold it and said, bitch, you do.
The nerve. You know better.
Bitch,
you knew something was going on. Could have warned the sister. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Run me my money, huh? Ain't you heard what I said? Because you could have did a sweep.
Please stop.
You could have did a sweep through. You could have had me. Why y'all don't be inspecting places before purchasing? Like thoroughly inspecting. Somebody would have seen that. I'm not accepting your trash and leftovers.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
It's too much that I don't know, man. That's just my personal opinion. But this is back around 05. So but hey man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Let us know y'all thoughts about it in the comment section for us down below. But as always, I do go by the name DJ the Kid. This is we are.
Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar.